Hi, my name is Matthew White, coming to you from Ingram Micro's Business Transformation Center, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about collaboration EAs. Now, there's a bunch of different EAs out there, but today we're specifically focusing on collaboration, and I'm going to try to break this down as simple as possible for you guys so you don't get confused. Let's take a look at what it takes to be an EA in collaboration. So one of the simple things here, and one of the great things I love about the collaboration EA, is how to know when you should be looking at an EA for your customer. And really, it comes down to the number of knowledge workers that they're going to have for contact center or for just standard Flex 3.0 licensing. It comes down to 250 knowledge workers or higher. And then the other one is the length of the term. So you're going to be looking at a 3 or 5 year term when you're looking at a collaboration EA. If you're looking at shorter than that, you're really going to be looking at a named user. But even on the named user side, you get a heavy price discount for looking at 3 years or more. So when you're looking at this type of solution, it's good to look at the 3 year pricing and at least offer that to your customers, even if they didn't ask for it up front. So why do people look at an EA? Let's take a look at some of the advantages for the customer. So when you're looking at the great value for customers, you want to take a look at the simplicity and the financial predictability. So because they have this one co-termed agreement with no retroactive billing, you don't have to worry about getting a higher bill throughout the year as long as you stay within this 20% growth allowance that they give you as part of being at EA. And if you want to actually add more than one EA as well, so maybe you want to add security as well as a collaboration EA, you get even better pricing on top of that. And there's even a simplified management with access to new software capabilities as they become available. So you don't have to worry about having to manage a whole bunch of users across a whole bunch of different areas. You can have this all in one centralized location for management. And then the software itself, because it is cloud software, you get those new updates as they come available. And if you decide to do on-prem as well, you can get those new updates through the on-prem software and the new versions of the on-prem as those become available as well. Now, I mentioned the growth allowance of 20%. There is also the 50% of knowledge worker count and common area licenses that they get. So common area licenses are used for things like a common area phone that they want to tie in, or maybe it's a room kit that they want to tie in to have calling on that as well. So if they're doing a EA for calling, they get those pieces as well to tie in their devices. And the WebEx device license is a big one. So if each of your users are having their own device, whether it be their own little room kit or their own room kit mini, or things like that, those are things that you can actually tie into this. Let's say they each have a Desk Pro. They're going to have a license for each user to activate the Desk Pro instead of having to have their own license purchased for each of those devices. And then even things like expressway licenses, if you're doing an on-prem solution, those are going to be included as well. And there's a lot of other benefits that you get included in the EA on top of these. So let's take a look at some of the advantages for the partner themselves. So for you guys, so bigger deals. So EAs tend to be a much larger opportunity for you guys. So you always want to take a look at an EA as a good potential sale for you and to spend maybe a little extra time with them to really better understand what's the best way to move forward with this. There is a yearly true forward as part of this. So I mentioned earlier that you have that 20% growth. At the end of the year, they actually take a look at months 9, 10, and 11, and they do an average throughout those months to figure out how many users you should have as part of that particular organization. So if they started with 250 and through months 9, 10, and 11, they ended up adding an extra 50 user on all 3 of those months. Now you're going to be looking at 300 users going forward into the following year. So it simplifies the upsell into the additional years as you move forward. There's also simplified cross-sell. Now, I did mention that there's a price discount if you're looking at more than one EA. And if they're bundling in these multiple EAs, it actually simplifies your selling into these different areas. And as everybody knows, you can't just have one vertical as part of this, or you can't just have one product as part of this. You're going to be looking at multiple products across the board. So to get a collaboration solution to work, you obviously need networking. Maybe you need security on top of that to keep your stuff safe. So those are also other EAs that you should be looking at as part of this. But again, today we're focusing mostly on collab, but don't forget those other ones out there. And then the other big thing for you guys is blocking the competition. So obviously, because you're signing them up for a 3 or 5 year agreement, that blocks the competition from taking those people away from you for those 3 to 5 years. So it makes it much easier to hang on to those end users. So what options do you have as part of the Collaboration Enterprise Agreement? So you have the basic Flex 3.0. There's also a Flex 3.0 for education, and a great discount there because you don't have to have every single student have a license. The licenses for them are free as long as you have the licenses for the faculty and staff. There is also a FedRAMP EA available as well. And then there's the Cisco Secure Remote Work, which we'll cover a little bit later, but that is also an EA option, so you can actually have a multiple suite between security and collaboration. And if you're not currently offering collaboration as part of your security offerings, or if you're not currently offering security as part of your collaboration offerings, this is something you really should look into because it's an easy cross-sell. So what does it take to actually start selling an EA? So you can actually see that there's a authorization status that you need to make sure that your company has to be able to sell the EAs. So if you go underneath your partner locator, you can find out what authorizations you have, and you should be looking for the Collaboration EA authorization. If you don't have that, you want to move on to step 2 here and actually enroll in becoming an EA authorized partner. And you can do that under PPE, eligible programs, profitability and practices, and then select enterprise agreement, and you can sign up for it there. So if you want to sell WebEx calling, you also have to think about adding that into it as well. So you want to make sure that you're adding in these other pieces that you need on top of just a standard EA agreement. For collaboration, you're going to be looking at some of the basics that you just need to sell collaboration. So whether that be the collaboration software as a service, or CSAS as we like to call it, or that be the WebEx calling piece that you're going to be having as part of that because you want to sell maybe cloud calling, or even if we're going to be doing like a hosted calling solution, then you're going to be looking at like an HCS advanced partner or HCS master partner on top of the CSAS. So just keep in mind that those are additional requirements that you're going to have to finish if you haven't already done those. Now, one of the great advantages of the EA is cost. But let's take a look at this a little closer. So if you're taking a look at a meetings and calling pack, as you can see here, between the Flex 3.0 named user and the Flex 3.0 enterprise agreement, you have a pretty good discount per user per month. So these are all per user per month. PSTN is not included in these prices. So if you want to do Cisco PSTN or third-party PSTN, you can still add that in. And really, what you want to take a look at is if you're just doing the calling, where does it come out to be the right price for these users? So if it's a professional calling environment, you can actually see that the enterprise agreement is slightly more per user, but you get some additional things with that professional calling environment. If you're looking at WebEx calling, you can see that meetings and calling is cheaper if you're going with the enterprise agreement. If you're just doing the calling piece, though, it depends on the users individually, what they actually need, how many common area licenses you need, and a whole bunch of other factors that are going to make sense on your overall solution being less when you're looking at enterprise agreement versus individual licenses being actually a little bit more on the professional side for enterprise agreements. So what I usually recommend to people is if they're looking to sell this and they're looking to include calling and they're not doing meetings for every user, or just meetings only, because meetings only is also less expensive with the enterprise agreement. If you're going to be doing multiple different avenues here and you're not sure if the pricing is going to come out to be less expensive for your end customer, talk to us. Let us build out a quote for you guys and find out what's going to be the better solution. So is it going to be better to build it out as a named user after you add in all your different licenses? Or is it going to be better to do it as an enterprise agreement after you add all those additional licenses like common area and things like that that they might need for this particular build? So I mentioned the bundling multiple EAs together a little bit earlier. So let's take a closer look at one of those. So this is the Cisco Secure Remote Work Enrollment. So this is going to have both the meetings, Teams, and calling as part of the Collaboration EA. And then you're going to also have Duo Access, Umbrella, AMP for Endpoints, and CES Inbound as part of the security side. And you can actually get these two bundled together as one EA, which gives you a better price discount across the board. And actually, let's take a closer look at some of that pricing. So per user per month, if you're going between $250 to $2,499, it's only $27 list cost per user per month. If you're doing over 2,500 users, then you're only looking at $25 per user per month for all that. So it is a very good purchase price and a very good buy to offer to your customers. And everybody needs security. And in today's world, pretty much everybody needs collaboration. So let's take another closer look here. So what does it take to sell the Secure Remote Work EA? Now, on top of the Collaboration EA, which had their own requirements, you will also need the addition of the Advanced Security Architecture Specialization. So just make sure you're adding that in to the overall requirements for you to be able to sell this, to make sure that you're not offering something that you can't sell to your end user. So make sure you have that ahead of time. So that's a quick overview for you of the Collaboration EA offerings. This is very simple and straightforward. If you need any additional information on how to become authorized, or what steps you have to take, let's say you're not even CSAS authorized yet, but you want to know how to get to the point where you can sell Collaboration EAs, feel free to reach out to us. I'll put an email here on the screen. And if you want additional help, feel free to touch base. We can definitely help you with all the steps that you need to do to complete that. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully you'll tune in to another one of our sessions to learn more about Cisco Collaboration.